You know, every time there's something big, there's one or two things. Musicians wrote songs and poets wrote poems about them.
Around the winter of 2019, Pooj and I traveled Russia for 2 weeks. And Moscow, or Moskva like the locals like to call it, had always intrigued us. Now let me be very frank here. Both of us had little idea on what we could expect from the largest city in Europe. But hey, the most we have heard is Putin and Kremlin and Putin and Snowfall and Putin. Did I mention Putin? Anyways, the one thing that we definitely wanted to see were the iconic Moscow metro stations. Well, we did see that, but we also saw a lot more. This is how Moscow unfolded to us for the next 48 hours.
When you go to a large city like Moscow, which is absolutely steeped in history, how do you start to make sense of it? The answer for us was walking tours. Like, no kidding guys, we did a whole bunch of these in Russia and loved all of them.
We will finish the tour back here.
So Russia has had a long religious past. Right from the days when an entire script was invented to spread Christianity across its land, to the churches that have crazy ghost stories to explain leaning bell towers, they've seen it all. Take for example in medieval times. The richest aristocrat who once lived here was driven out of his own home by archers sent by the ruling Tsar, who was so infamously terrible, it became a part of his name. Yeah, this guy. In Russia, there is a saying, the prettier the monument, greater the sin. No prizes for guessing then who built this gorgeous fairy tale church, known to us as St. Basil's Cathedral. Candy domes and mad kings gave way to Soviet rule, but this beautiful building came to be a grocery store or the gum store. Well, not anymore. It's all about the Gucci's and the Burberrys right now. Do try the gum ice cream here though, it is yum. And if you can time it at the full hour, the change of guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is a must-see.
Walking tours must always end with food. Always. And for vegetarians like ourselves in a mostly meat-eating country, Teremok was the perfect place to be. Be it a quick brunch or a filling lunch in Petersburg or a late-night dinner in Moscow, Teremok never disappointed us. Well, that was one satisfying dinner. The stuffed potato blinis, vegan borscht and hot mushroom soup are highly recommended.
So we're melting mushroom and cheese pancakes. Then there's a roasted potato and pickled, what is this? Pickled something? Cucumber. Okay. And then there's mushroom soup.
After a satisfying lunch, we went into what looks like an art museum, but not really. This is just a typical Moscow metro station. More on that later.
Yep.
Where we actually went to was here,
This is the Church of the Savior.
the Cathedral of Christ the Savior. Now, as much as we love to film it, cameras weren't allowed inside, so this is all we've got.
Hop across the Cathedral of Christ the Savior to the Pushkin Museum, which holds one of the largest collections of European art in the world. We were lucky enough to see some of these beauties from the old Flemish and Venetian masters, not to forget the hallways filled with gorgeous sculptures cast in bronze, marble, limestone and wood. This stupid, I shouldn't wear these jeans, they don't have pockets. Worst idea. Who makes jeans without pockets?
Where did you buy them?
Because it's nice, it's comfortable to wear.
Our second day in Moscow began just like the first one, with a walking tour. But this one was a bit different, because technically, there wasn't much walking, it was more like metro station hopping. The Moscow Metro is right on top, along with the likes of London Tubes or the New York City Subway. It's got about 220 plus stations, 12 12 lines and close to 400 kilometers of tracks. But what actually makes it so unique are the insanely artistic stations, filled with these interesting relics and hidden Easter eggs. Like the first pit stop of our tour, Polshar Revolucji. Hope I said that right. Buried right under the Red Square, this station has about 80 bronze sculptures sprinkled all around, and the people of Moscow believe that rubbing them brings them good luck. Mayakovskaya. This one had about 34 brilliant ceiling mosaics depicting an idealist Soviet future. And in 1941, to celebrate the anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution, Stalin actually set up a party in the station. Of course, all while the Nazis bombed the city up top.
Actually, this station won the Architectural Grand Prize in New York in 1939.
At the end of our walk, we had barely scratched the surface of what the Moscow Metro had to offer. And it would take a full day to completely take in the beauty of these terminals. And if you have the time for it, there is no better way to stay underground for an entire day. I mean, these aren't called as the palaces of the people in Russia without a reason. Gorky Park, anyone?
Down to Gorky Park.
And if you aren't into the scorpions, Gorky Park for Moscow is what the Central Park is for New York City. Visiting Gorky Park is the best way to capture the pulse of the people of Moscow. Just pack some sandwiches or a little snack and find a nice spot by the lake. You might see babies taking their first steps, puppies in winter jackets strutting the stone pathways. And before you know it, a grey-haired couple or a bunch of young lovers might strike up a conversation about the story of Moscow. A story that can be relived by every traveler who visits Moscow with a curious mind and an open heart.